Welcome, blockheads. It is 10:30 a.m. East Coast. It is March 6th, 2024, and this is Business on the Block, episode 70, The Blockchain Major. A growing number of top universities are offering blockchain as a major. We'll tell you why this is the new computer engineering degree. We're also going to shine a light on exactly how LinkedIn has become a hotbed for influencer marketing. You guys remember putting your resume on that thing? And finally, we'll explain the legal showdown occurring now between Elon Musk and Sam Altman and why the future of humanity might hang in the balance. Come for the drama, right? All right, so this is the weekly Business on the Block, your lively business discussion. This is your weekly insight into the digital media revolution. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Michelle Peterson-Clark.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And Mike Neubauer.
Good morning.
For those who don't know, Michelle will bring the content marketing insights, Mike brings the operations, and I'm the strategy. So we're going to dive right into story number one. This is coming to us from cryptojobslist.com. Top universities now offering blockchain degrees. Blockchain is revolutionizing sectors such as finance, supply chain management, healthcare. We know that. But as demand for global blockchain experts grows, many prestigious universities around the world are now integrating blockchain into their curriculums. This was brought to my attention. I have college-bound kids soon in the university levels, hopefully. And Michelle raised this because she's in a similar situation. I was not aware that blockchain is becoming like a university degree. But we're going to start off with thoughts on this one. Michelle, as the person who found this story, I would love to hear your thoughts. What does this mean for education, for business? What are your thoughts around this?
So we have a 15 going on to almost 16-year-old who is looking at, well, what am I going to do when I finish my school education? And he's been looking at a few different courses and things here in the UK and in Australia. So we're kind of been getting a bit of a broad brush of different things. And he came up with something in Melbourne in Australia where we used to live. And when I looked at it, it was, I think it's a Bachelor of Business or something like that. And then there's a list of 14 different majors. And the first major they listed was blockchain. And I thought, well, that's a very interesting thing. And so shared it with you guys. And, we then did some investigation, didn't we, on who else is doing it and how many others are doing it. And, I think that, Mike, was it you that said it's the new software engineering degree? Or is that what you said? I can't remember what the words were that you said.
He said it's a new computer engineering degree.
Yeah. So, I think it's reinforces what we've been saying all along, whether you like NFTs or not, whether you trade crypto meme coins or not, whether you used to call it Web3 and you do or you don't now. What we've said fundamentally is that the technology of blockchain is here and it's here to stay, and it will, in the long term, fundamentally change the way businesses record information, verify information, all sorts of things going forward. And the way and the use cases of what we can do with blockchain, we've talked, haven't we, before about, one day you'll have your passport and your driver's license and your birth certificates and all of that stuff you will be able to verify via the blockchain. And so, we've got a whole generation of kids now that know nothing but the internet, know nothing but social media, etc. But now they need to be trained in how to use this next stage of technology. Just like in the mid-2000s, university degrees started talking about the internet. And so I think that's the point at we are at now.
So for those who aren't aware, Mike, I'll get comments from you in a second. This is some of the colleges that are offering a blockchain degree include Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard, Cornell, Columbia, Oxford, University of Zurich, the National University of Singapore. So this is a global thing. Mike, you were the one who termed it the new computer engineering degree. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, the thing that stood out to me when Michelle was describing it was, why is it under the business degree? It should be under a computer engineering or some sort of an engineering degree, because again, as we mentioned several times, blockchain is the engine under the hood. It is this, the driving force behind a lot of these new technologies. I love the fact that they're still using terms like Web3. They are integrating some of the terminology that, those of us have been in the trenches for a while are somewhat used to. Surprised that Abu Dhabi's not on the list. It seems like they're slacking.
They don't need to. They got the businesses going on there.
I don't want to, jump into our conspiracy corner a little early, but the fact that this is heading into the university level is potentially troubling to me, because now you're going to institutionalize the technology that's designed to be decentralized. Obviously the educational component behind it, the necessity for the knowledge base and how to build it, it's important. But you're seeing a lot of the same big name schools that are in headlines for other reasons right now, really at the tip of this spear. So again, with the technology and the way that it's designed, we all have to remember why it was built in the first place. And, if institutional elements that are sort of, getting their claws into it, hold them in check and hold them accountable.
I'm going to answer your question, Mike. Why is this under the business and not under the technology? For those, if you want to dig into this, these are the actual courses being offered where you can get a degree, meaning these are the degrees they're giving out at these colleges. At MIT, this is the degree: blockchain and money. The other one is crypto finance. Over at Harvard, it's blockchain applications in real estate. Stanford has crypto and blockchain tech. Columbia has blockchain digital tokens. So they're all going after the money tokenized angle of this, not the digital ledger that can verification systems, right? This is about money. The kids,
it's always about money. Let's be clear about that, right? Like those C-level positions that sort of emerged with blockchain and Web3, I don't even know if they still exist, but now this is going to be a requirement to hold those positions, right? And yes, there will be financial components to it, but talking about a logistics or an operational infrastructure piece, blockchain is still very relevant on the in the internal workings of the way a corporation is set up, using supply chain initiatives, using logistics. We mentioned healthcare and the security behind that. There's a lot of benefits behind the scenes that are non-financial transactions. They are still transactions, but they're non-financial. So yes, in that regard, I do agree that they would be in the business application. But when you're talking about building a network, building on-chain activity, our friends at Bolt will be able to attest to this a little bit more. There's still very much computer engineering that has to go into this.
So I'm going to touch this, connect this to the show itself. Back when we launched this program, we believed that there was no business conversation around the whole blockchain evolution, hence the Business on the Block name. I really feel that this is starting to point the finger to what people want to learn about. If you're one of the students in one of these courses, where do you learn these things? College is great. The university level education is great, but we all know this. It's not always the cutting edge. So in my opinion, a lot of these universities are playing catch up right now. There really is no one place to learn these things. Shows like this, places like YouTube is where most of the folks are going to get their information. So the question on my mind is it a relevant education? Are you going to come out 4 years later with a degree that is 4 years old? Because in the old days, computer, coding, 4 years was a lot, but it was manageable. We all know this. Like every 10 weeks, the entire AI.
4 weeks is a lot now.
Right. There's 20 new tools each month. I think that this is going to be. Go ahead.
No, go on.
No, I think this is going to be a foot race for these schools. Go ahead, Michelle.
I think that it's an interesting angle to look at it. So the particular course that our son was looking at is called a Bachelor of Business. And one of the majors, it was blockchain-enabled business. So it said, be equipped with the knowledge and skills you'll need to apply and manage blockchain in public and private enterprises through multidisciplinary study, which could mean that's a catchphrase, catch-all for everything, right? But I think what they're trying to look at there is how can you use this technology to advance, build, create a business. And like some of the other ones that we've looked at, some of the American ones that you talked about before, Mark, are more in the finance money type thing. Some of the courses, though, now I think that are emerging, like that particular Bachelor of Business, are about how can we use the technology to advance a business. And, I think that perhaps that's a little different kettle of fish. There's a lot of chat in the, there's a lot of talk in the bulk chat about, do we really need to have people that, are getting full-blown blockchain degrees, et cetera, et cetera. Like my thing is that, unfortunately, I think, and maybe we'll start to come out of it, is that when people around the general space, so people that see on TV, the FTX stuff and all of that, the crypto bros, the memes, the peppy coins, the Doge coins, all of that kind of stuff is not the impression we want to give people. So what we don't want is crypto bro knowledge to be a whole segment of of society going forward in blockchain. So we actually do want people who have an exposure to other bits of the space so that they can then develop the next phases of it. And I think that perhaps that's what we're looking at with some of these courses.
The institutionalization
Theory is great
of the
on
bros.
paper, isn't it?
Oh, sure.
I mean,
Sure.
on paper, it
Look,
sounds
right.
like such a wonderful dream that these universities would just be there to educate and, teach the people in the new direction. We all know, like, look, you can get a degree in basket weaving and stargazing now, right? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's a piece of paper. The experience within the space is what really is going to tell the tale. And yes, there's a lot of bad press on that. And that's where I was going to go with my next comment here is, is this nothing more than a validation of credibility on where this technology is at this state? You want my answer?
It's a cash grab for the universities. We keep going.
It's everything is a cash grab with them. I mean, the whole thing is a riot. But the reality of it is that, there are people out there that are still very skeptical on what it does, the volatility behind it, what its capabilities include. For what episode are we on now? 70? Okay, 70 episodes in, I think at least once a week or once every other week, it's brought up that blockchain is a useful tool in a business sense as a marketing tool or a business-to-business collaboration tool, right? So there's your business application right then and there. And if it takes people an understanding to know that everything you're doing in your business plan is still activated just using this new technology in a unique way, and it just separates you from some of your competition in a different path, that's really what they need to be teaching with it. But if you're going to, again, if you're going to institutionalize the concept, there needs to be a foundational piece on how to perfect the intricate workings behind the scenes. What makes the engine under the hood better? And if the universities focus on that, I think there's going to be a little bit more of that innovation and success moving forward. To your point, Mark, earlier, the technology is changing super fast. But we also live in a world now where universities don't need 4-year degrees to describe the same concept. There could be ever evolving degrees that correlate with this. I think if they don't issue this degree on chain, they are missing a hell of an opportunity.
They're not going to.
I can guarantee you that's not happening right now.
So they're not drinking the Kool-Aid that they're selling?
No.
Not yet, no.
It's a centralized institution giving them. You realize this. Here's my point, though. You just nailed it. It's the certification programs is where this is going to go, because the education that the university will give, even today in computer engineering, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all the major powerhouses, Apple, they will give you their own education once you come in, because they don't trust that what you've learned is really still relevant. And nor is it specific to the product line. That's the same thing in the blockchain world, which is my point number 2. What is the blockchain? We know on this show, and then regular listeners will know, there's multiple blockchains. There's many. And so depending on the use case that you're trying to create, what is the value you're delivering for your community, a different blockchain will be better or worse, right? Ethereum and Bitcoin share a similar blockchain, but they're not the same. My point is, if you're building on these things and it's specific to the initiative and it's specific to the tech, their certifications are going to be required. I mean, how often the upgrade going on right now with Ethereum, like, this is a very different situation than what's going on over at Avalanche.
I would think that this initiative doesn't rely on chains that are already in place. I think it would be an initiative to build out individual chains, just like what Bolt did. Bolt doesn't use, Ethereum or Bitcoin. They have their own blockchain. They built their own infrastructure. Like, these are things that companies can actually do. And, if there's a section of that chain that they want to release for community build, that's one segment of it. If there's operational pieces that they want to keep internal, it's another segment. Either which way you look at it, when you clear away all the smoke and the fog, you're looking at a sequential list of validated transactions. And that's all the blockchain is. Right. And who's able to confirm and validate those transactions? That's set up on a series of nodes that, frankly, an international company already has the infrastructure in place in order to execute.
Yes, but the larger companies move slowly. Keep going, Michelle.
No, what I was going to say was I don't think that these degrees are training people to go and work for Apple or Google or Amazon. They're training people to be down the high street who run the system for, a retail store or a supermarket chain or, like an accounting business or a law firm. I think that what their premise would be is that they are wanting to create a knowledge base cohort that is able to then go out to smaller to medium-sized businesses and say, hey, this is the new technology. This is how you can use it in your business. This is what we'll do, et cetera, et cetera. It's not for the Apples and the Googles of this world, I don't think, because as you've said, they retrain people anyway.
So I want to draw a parallel here real fast, Mike. There's in the old world of social media marketing, that everyone knows what social media agencies do. There's now this AI version of that. They'll come in and give you an AI tool out your thing so you can do social with these AI tools. That version is going to happen in the blockchain world. These builders, as you put them, Michelle, are going to come out and say, let's make these companies either improve the existing or create entirely new models, a blockchain-based, distribution grocery store. It's so much more efficient. I think that you're right. We're going to see a new business model emerge off the back of the knowledge base that comes out of these colleges.
Well, the final point I guess I'll make on this, and I feel like we're going to revisit this topic several different times because it's only a matter of time before you're going to get an AI degree, at which point your degree is going to be generated through AI.
You already can.
Look at the business side of the way the university structure is operating, though. Everything is predicated off of research and publications, right? How many publications can you get? How many grants can you get in your research? Like, these are things that I think are going to be the backbone on ways to continuously invest into the development of the technology. And those companies that we're talking about that may not be, using it, they're going to start seeding out the type of curriculums that they want, the type of R&D that they want based around those grants. So Apple can easily sponsor Cambridge's efforts in the blockchain technology, providing research and development and providing platforms where students can do their necessary research and almost be a gateway to get into that company after they're done with their program.
Right. Final thoughts out of you, Michelle? I'll take us into story number 2.
No, I agree with Mike. I think that we will come back to it. I think that there will be, evolutions of what it is that they do. And, I like the fact that it is in the business degree because that's what we have been banging on about for 70 episodes. And, when we're at 200 episodes, we'll probably all be teaching at those courses.
I also agree. This is going to be something we'll revisit, Mike, to your point. Every university globally will be offering this. This is like saying we're going to offer a technology degree. This is what's going to become the basis for all business going forward. All right. Taking us to story number 2. LinkedIn is becoming the hotspot for creator marketing. Yes, creator marketing. LinkedIn said it hit 1 billion members in November, a few months ago. They've recently launched their Creator Accelerator program, which is a 6-week incubator-style program to specifically support creators. There's now over 139,000 newsletters on LinkedIn. I was not aware it was that large. And so the result of this is that now LinkedIn is becoming a place where influencers are attracting business opportunity and, frankly, driving commerce. So LinkedIn now is a creator spot. We're going to start with you, Mike, on this one. What are your thoughts around LinkedIn leaving its roots as the old place to post your resume and CV?
I mean, isn't content that's created now just a glorified version of a resume or a CV? I mean,
yeah, it's community building, but yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, it doesn't have to be community building. Again, it's just a matter of what perspective you give on a specific topic or issue. How quickly you can create content based around things that are either trending or you're trying to create as a trending topic. So I think it's nothing more than an evolution of what LinkedIn is providing. The danger here, though, is that this becomes the next Facebook or Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Like, is it going to be a platform predicated on this content creation where, it's all essentially like echo chamber type content where people would just agree and tell you how special and powerful you are just because you posted something in a newsletter. The other component is like, is it going to get flooded? And is the same content going to get regurgitated over and over again? Is the correct credit going to be issued out? I mean, LinkedIn, believe it or not, I mean, it's still somewhat of, an invasive technology where you can kind of see, who's viewing your content, who's viewing your profile. Like, that's still very much a real thing within LinkedIn. So the content that's created there needs to be kept in mind that there still are businesses that are scouring that platform for potential hires. And if that content is counter to some of the, I guess, traits or qualities that those institutions value, then you're almost putting yourself at a disservice by labeling yourself in one corner or another, even if you're qualified for a particular position.
You raise a good point, Mike.
I don't want it to become the next dating app is the point I'm trying to make.
But I want to expand on that. There's two LinkedIn's right now, right? What is the thing? Is it a creator platform or is it a place to go find new hires? Michelle, as our content royalty here, what are your thoughts on this?
Look, despite what you said, I think that 130,000 newsletters out of, what was it, 1 billion users, I think is a very, very small percentage. So with regards to that, there is still an enormous amount of growth potential on LinkedIn for the right kind of information. If by the term influencer marketing, we mean those people that hold up a particular lipstick and spruik the product or wear bikinis online or whatever, then that's probably not going to work on LinkedIn. But I think that it has the potential to become a cesspool really quickly if it does go down that kind of path. However, I think that at the moment, the type of person who's on LinkedIn, the type of profiles you have are mostly business related, mostly people who have positions or, executive or high, sort of management positions within companies, and they're building their profile within their company and shining a light on that. So I think that it's important to work out what it is that you want from your business in terms of who your audience is and if they live on LinkedIn or not. Would Kim Kardashian coming to LinkedIn to do what she does on Instagram or TikTok work the same? I doubt that in the beginning until everybody who follows Kimmy moves over to LinkedIn, which I don't think will happen either. But, from that point of view, I think that it's important to think about as a creator and as a business owner, where does your audience live? If they live on LinkedIn, then there definitely is the ability to be able to connect with them in that space in a professional business-like manner.
So quick shout out to our friend of the show here, Mitch Jackson, who's an excellent attorney out of the West Coast. For those who aren't aware, doing mediation, Mitch runs the gamut, and he's a perfect example of the corporate foot in one side and the creator foot in the other, where he has shows, several of them, explaining the metaverse and explaining how AI and blockchain and all of this interfaces on the business end. So this is, I believe, Mitch, you're a good example of the transition happening on LinkedIn. People, myself included, former finance, now I run a content marketing firm. People understand that there's a creator element. The problem is LinkedIn was not built for creators. It was built for corporate resume CV postings. And so the reason that matters, in my opinion, I was in a back and forth on LinkedIn about this past week. The DNA of the firm is not creator yet. They're trying to become something they weren't built to be. They may do it. I hope they do. But if you want to be a creator platform, content must be searchable, right? If you think about what makes for something searchable, if I want to go and research a creator friend of mine or someone I don't know, you either have a search bar or you have a For You page. That is the basics of what most searchability on creative platforms look like. LinkedIn is neither. No, they may get there. Right now, they're starting with creator programs. They, if I'm not mistaken, this is their second attempt, or they shut down their previous creator program. LinkedIn could do this, but let's not forget who owns LinkedIn. Mike, refresh our memory.
I don't know.
Microsoft. Our old friend
There you
Microsoft
Oh, come on.
is ultimately pulling the strings on this thing. So the money's there, is the DNA. This is, as I put it on my comments last week, it was suit and tie tries creator. Let's see how it goes. I'm rooting for them.
Look, again, there's still very much content creator elements, even if you're creating your own profile or resume there. That's content that you can easily put together utilizing the tools that they offer, right? There was a meme that went around a couple of years ago where, like, you know, you would take 4 different pictures of yourself. One is LinkedIn, one is Facebook, one is, you know, Instagram or, you know, Tinder or something. And, you know, the LinkedIn one was always like you sitting in a corner reading a book under the moonlight, right? Like it's, you know, the professional version of yourself. I think that if they can still stick with that mantra, it's just that, you know, content now needs to be brought to the table and able to be posted to engage in that back and forth conversation that you just alluded that you had on the platform. Because at the end, what value does the platform provide? Only when people interact with it. Right. If people are only there to search for resumes and stuff, you know, the ad spends and the, you know, the premium plans that people can get their hands on, it's not as valuable. But if you create a platform where people can interact and go back and forth, now you're creating a sellable piece that you can actually, that Microsoft can actually monetize off of.
Right. I think it's early to say. My guess they'll be successful, but the problem right now in this transitional phase where they're half creator, half business, the creator sales pitches coming at the business folks it's unfathomable. For anyone that runs any kind of it's at worse than on any other platform, which will drive away the business element if over time, if there's no way to shield yourself from that. So
I think too that in the Bolt chat, Bubba's been saying, you know, things like they don't have the kind of tools available on the Facebooks or the Instagrams that enable creators to do the various different things that they're used to doing. Whether that's good or bad or not is a different story. But I think too that it's important to think about why at the moment of the 1 billion people on LinkedIn, why do people go there? And that's really the reason. Like, you go to Facebook because you know, want to see what your friends who you went to high school with are doing, or keep your family informed about what you're doing. That tends to be what you do. On Instagram, you know, you posted pictures of what you ate and, you know, concerts that you went to and your travels. That was kind of the main gig for that. So with LinkedIn, people went there to say, I'm working here, or I'm available here, or these are my skills. I work for X company and this is what we're doing, that sort of stuff. And that's really the reason why people joined LinkedIn and why they go there for the majority of time. They don't go there to necessarily, the majority of them don't necessarily go there to work out how to create a business for selling pottery on Etsy, for example.
Bubba, anyone that's
what they do.
Totally on with Mike on this one, Bubba the storyteller, I have to take an issue with this.
No, notice how that's the only comment pulled from the 45
that was the most important one.
I'll say Mike runs our comments flashes. So I'll say this though, to your point, Michelle, the creator economy thing on LinkedIn, it's controversial. You're going to have an issue where you need to create content. Number one, the folks on LinkedIn for the most part are not great at it. What is it? 1% of them are creators. It's a shockingly low number of people on LinkedIn are actually creating. The second thing is influencer marketing. Will it really work in the suit and tie world? Do companies decide to shift corporate business because the content marketing queen says they should. No offense, Michelle.
But what are they influencing? That's the thing that I don't get in this whole, and that's not really explained in this story either. Like, who are they influencing for what?
I think the influence is a real thing. I don't think the influencer marketing, as we've traditionally seen it operate on, say, Instagram or TikTok, I don't think that works on LinkedIn. It's not.
Disagree. I disagree because, and maybe it's just my feed, but I see a lot of motivational crap that's posted on LinkedIn. Like different ways that you can organize your day and different business applications that, tell you how to get through that's content, right? That's influencer content that you can create that people will absorb. And look, there's people that scour LinkedIn, maybe not as often as some of the other social platforms, but they're always looking for different opportunities to pop up through that platform. And sometimes they come across that content and it might make sense for them to absorb it and follow that person. So there still is a market for that type of influencer model. Is it going to be the chick that's showing her ass at the gym? Probably not. But, right. I think that there definitely still is a business application for influencer marketership, which, by the way, creates a resume for somebody to get hired as a marketing personnel at a company that's scouring the platform.
But I don't know that that's influencer marketing, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that the word influencer these days has been bandied around, particularly in the last 18 months, maybe even since COVID, where, people were at home and telling people what they should and shouldn't do and whatever. But if you're a business coach or a trainer or someone who, does those sorts of business activities, then putting motivational stuff and all of that is within your gamut of the services and products that you might offer. Does that necessarily mean that you suddenly become an influencer marketer? Like, I don't know about that.
Good. What do you classify as an influencer?
I was just going to go there, Mike. Is an influencer like a Gary Vaynerchuk or a Grant Cardone? You could argue they're an influencer. Is that Jamie Dimon? Is Warren Buffett an influencer? I don't know. I'm not saying, but
not on social media. He's not. No,
but that's what LinkedIn is on social media.
But okay, so again, I think it really defines on what's an influencer and what's not, right? Like, an influencer is, I guess, creating some sort of a sense of community over a specific topic.
Yep.
And you can influence people over, basket weaving. That's the second time I use that example today. But like, you can have an interest in that particular market. I mean, look, all of these are really replications of things that happened before the internet, right? Like there was a magazine for everything. George Carlin had a joke on this. There was a magazine dedicated to walking, right? There's a walking magazine. And how much content can you actually create by walking, but apparently enough to create a magazine?
How many fitness magazines, Mike? Muscle building, muscle mag magazines, it's all the same thing.
It's all the same content. There's nutritional components. There's nutritional. It's a specialized focus, and it influences people to get off their ass and go to the gym or try out this whey protein or do something. So, again, I think it matters about what your definition of influencer is. I still think that, especially kids growing up on social media, there's definitely a market for that type of content on a platform dedicated to business.
Michelle, go ahead.
Because we're a live show, I have Googled the definition of social media influencer.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it from Google's Gemini. Let's go.
Well,
it's got to do with the Black George Washington.
I've basically had a look at maybe the top 6 or 7 stories, and they're kind of 6 or 7 definitions of different articles. They're kind of basically all the same. Someone who has a reputation or of authority or expertise in a particular area and who uses that authority to engage with large numbers of social media followers. That's the definition broadly of an influencer marketer. Yes.
I'm going to give you an example. Numbers. This is the model, in my opinion, of what people on LinkedIn that want to become influencers should copy. This is here's your blueprint for you. I'm going to throw out there Ray Dalio from Bridgewater, who is a billionaire finance guy, hedge fund dude, and now suddenly has built a followership around his principles of a changing world order and the eruption, the arguments that are happening across America, left versus right. He's got a message. So he's coalesced and people are following him for a specific, he's building community. That's what they're getting at. The second one is going to be Elon Musk, much to your chagrin, Michelle. Elon Musk is an influencer, even though he's a billionaire business guy, and we all know we're going to Mars.
Oh, yeah.
And in both their cases, it's what you just said, Michelle. They are building followers, literally like the follower count number, that vanity metric that we all poop on. It matters if you want to go from the business world into the influencer world. So where Tony Robbins is a very wealthy man and definitely an influencer, he's not really established as a business guy in the LinkedIn sense, even if he owns 27 companies, whatever it is. Gary
He's
Vaynerchuk,
successful in business. So on that platform, I guarantee you he has a ton of followers.
I agree, but would you consider, like I said earlier, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger? These are big names in finance right now. Who's the hedge fund guy that's arguing with the government? The point is, there's a lot of the followership number counts, and your message in the community you're building. What is your mission counts if you want to become an influencer.
Okay, but again, these are people that have a reputation in the business world on a business social platform. Even if they're not interacting directly with their own thoughts on people, if they come across an article that they feel they should share, people who want to be those people who want to replicate their business strategies will absorb the content that they pump out there. That's content creation in some way, shape, or form. They might not be building it themselves, but they're influencing their followership predicated on a special topic or direction to go, in this case, specifically in the business world.
I think that the number one thing is having a mission. I'm going to reference our friend here, Mitch Jackson, who is from the legal world and has made a very big waves in the sense that he's educating the legal profession on how the metaverse is going to matter and how these AI tools are going to impact what they do. That's a mission. People can follow that. You can build community around that. If you just want to become, if you're a business person and you've got a lot of money, is not the same thing as being an influencer. And that transition requires you have to something beyond just being famous.
Again, does Warren Buffett have a LinkedIn profile?
I'm sure the man does, but
okay, how many people are following him? They're
not
following him.
Tony Robbins has 7 million because I just looked him up.
There's no question that he's famous and he's got the follow. What's his mission right now?
Who cares? It doesn't matter. He has the followership. Anything that they post, people will absorb.
So there's a distinction that I'm going to draw, Mike, from this conversation. Coming from the influencer world, which Tony is, into the business world is fine, right? That's Gary. Coming from the business world into the influencer world, and I'll throw out like maybe a Cody Sanchez or I'm trying to think of who. That's a very different dynamic where you need to have clearly defined what the crowd, where you're taking them and why.
Warren Buffett does not have a LinkedIn profile.
I guarantee you, if he says I'm starting a LinkedIn profile, he might even surpass Tony Robbins.
I agree. Well, what was when X?
Absolutely. When
Elon Musk announced that X was going to be doing crypto or might do crypto payments, and they posted the X crypto account. I remember everyone started following it. Do you remember this a couple of weeks ago?
Yes. Yeah.
Not even a person.
They
getting
followers. And it already got 300,000 followers or something.
Having followers is not the same as being an influencer.
I don't disagree with you, but especially on a platform like LinkedIn, where it theoretically, it's a little bit easier to actually get through to somebody. Twitter, you get lost in DMs, especially if you have millions of followers and things like that. But, on LinkedIn, you have a little bit more of a personal touch to get through to somebody. So let's just, for example, say that I'm trying to start this business with you guys, and I have this great idea. We all have this manufacturing plan. Michelle throws the marketing plan together. Mark, you go out and you try to find the financial components to sell it. You build the deck. Now we just got to get it in front of somebody that has capital, somebody that has business knowledge. Are we going to Instagram for that?
No,
we're
not. I go to LinkedIn because I like the business discussion that's not got the food fight attached to it, according from X. I think I do. I feel like where would you have a conversation around the implications of blockchain in the business world?
And this is the gray area that they should not go down, based around exactly what you described earlier. Your back and forth. Healthy conversation and discussion is great as long as there's a means to an end, in this case, in the business world.
But you're forced to have a healthy conversation because you can't be, flaming someone and throwing expletives when your boss is looking at your profile.
Well, and again, that's the underlying value that this platform has over the cesspool that is X.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Well, but that said, there's plenty of people that have been fired from jobs because of stuff they've put on Twitter.
LinkedIn too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of X,
Yeah,
I'd like to
true.
take us to story 3, unless you have final comments from anyone. All right.
Nope.
In the interest of time, but going into story 3. Favorite, Michelle, Elon Musk sues OpenAI, accusing it of putting profit before humanity. This is coming to us from The Guardian. Elon's filed a lawsuit claiming OpenAI is developing artificial general intelligence for money rather than the benefit of humankind. Like, I'm trying to keep a straight face reading this. OpenAI is now a de facto subsidiary of the largest tech company in the world, Microsoft. Elon says it became a closed source corporation seeking to maximize profits from Microsoft. For those who don't know, legally, OpenAI is a U.S. domiciled nonprofit legal entity. That means they cannot make a profit.
Okay.
Mike,
Okay, I've got my conspiracy tinfoil crown.
I wasn't going to go conspiracy yet, but are we doing all right? Fine. Mike, we'll start with thoughts on you. What do you think?
Okay, first of all, the nonprofit deal, that's as big as a scam as the NFL being a nonprofit organization.
Is the NFL a nonprofit?
The NFL is a nonprofit organization.
And OpenAI is too.
Yeah, so whatever. But, look, I love Musk. I've repeatedly said on several different occasions here, I respect his entrepreneur mentality. I love his business mentality. I love his balls because, he has enough to throw it down other people's face. He has FU money, so he can do whatever he wants. But this is the pot calling the kettle black here, man. Putting profits before humanity. Like, come on. I mean, I don't see him voluntarily, throwing things up without subsidies and without grants and benefits, all over the place either. Everything is done for a profit, and that's why he's the richest guy in the world. In
his defense, though, Mike, he did open source the blueprints for the Tesla electric cars.
He did. Yes, that's wonderful. And I don't think that's been profitable yet anyway. So what the hell's the difference? But look, I looked into getting Starlink. He's not offering that for the betterment of humanity. He's charging for that. Right. So it's a technology that's great for it. But at the end of the day, that comes with a price tag.
Here's the difference, though. He's running it out of a for-profit company.
I understand that. But again, unless you literally have horse blinders on and you think OpenAI is just here to, be a profitable entity that's just designed to not make money, then, I got a condo back in my backyard that I'll be willing to sell you too. I think that, look, there's definite guardrails that he is warning people about with respect to where OpenAI is going. Okay. And to bring it in the sense of a lawsuit, first of all, I don't know if OpenAI is going to withstand the barrage of being a U.S. entity, solely a U.S. entity, much longer. If this is a trend that anybody can open the doors with, so they might need to either go buy their own country or have AI create a planetary system that they call home. Either which way you look at it, I think that this is just flex versus flex. Another headline where Elon sneaks in. Does it have any substance? No, but is there a fair warning to read between the lines? Yeah, I think that there is something there.
Michelle, what do you think about this? We know your thoughts on Elon Musk. Let's hear your thoughts on this lawsuit.
Well, I just want to say firstly that this is another chink in my belt for the 40 episodes this year that we'll be talking about AI. So that's my first thing. My second thing is, no, I think that this is fantastic. I think it is wonderful that Elon is doing this. I'm on Elon's side this time. Can you believe that? No, not really. Look, given all that he does, I honestly do not know how he has time for this crap. But there you go. And clearly paying $440 million or whatever it was for Twitter and losing 3/4 of it in 18 months, it means he's still got a lot more money around that he can do endless, pointless, stupid things like this. I mean, the base premise of it, great. They started it under a different idea. They wanted it to be, not for profit, etc. And he left. And then after the fact, people changed their minds who were still there. But isn't that business? That's like, we sold our house and the next people came and they did stuff and I reckon they've ruined it. Well, that would be like me suing them because they made our house look worse than when we sold it to them. They paid the money for it. it was theirs. They're entitled to do what they like with it. And I think that applies to this as well.
So a couple of thoughts from me. I feel number one, Elon's right. Right. Clearly, we all agree that it's a for-profit thing, whether they call it that or not. And it was registered and founded, by the way, with Elon's money as a nonprofit. So that there's a disjoint right there. However, the Wall Street side of me knows nothing's going to change. Like there'll be a wrist slap, whenever there's huge money involved, like $7 billion of valuation money, nothing changes. There's going to be a little bit of money given out. Elon's not looking for money. I don't even know what he probably wants control of the thing. But Microsoft,
which sounds profitable to me,
right? But the point is, I don't think anything changes. In the end, Microsoft's not going to give this up. They're not going to get shut down. The government doesn't seem to be anti anything at the moment. But Elon's right, and it won't go anywhere. Is my summary of this.
Well, there's no case law behind any of this, right? So
no, there is.
Lawsuit
this has nothing to do with the tech. This has to do with if you register as a nonprofit and you start to become a profit, you're in violation. You either have to.
Who is he to enforce that?
Well, he was a founder.
Okay, again, so he's a co-founder in the sense that this needs to, be the betterment of humanity.
Well, that was how it was. No, if you read up on the history of it, that was what they started as. That's why the name OpenAI, and it is not open. You can't access their source code. So they started out as an actual think tank research group simply to make AI. It's why when Elon launched Grok, his fledgling competitor at the moment to this thing, that's what he said was that got screwed up. So I'm going to try to do it again. So I'm not saying
that is what
you're
right,
said. Mike. Elon is a for-profit guy, no question about it, but he does it through the for-profit entities. He's arguing that this one was kind of an end around on him, and there's probably a bit of a
he wants the for-profit to be for him and not anybody else. This is all part of that as well. He's annoyed that they've got so much money now and he's not in it anymore.
Right. This is just Wall finance, big guys, venture capital, California in this case, arguing with each other, in my opinion.
So again, what is he suing for? Is he suing for hugs?
Well, that's the thing. He's suing just to sue, and there'll be a cash settlement in that case. I don't know what Elon's real goal is, other than just to highlight the fact that this is not what it said it was. He's right. We already know that, though. So what's his goal? No clue. Like in the case with Disney, he's suing. There's the whole Mandalorian actress who was fired for whatever she put on Twitter, and Elon's funding that lawsuit. He's doing that to drive down the price of Disney because he's got a tiff with Bob Iger. In this case, yeah, he's got a tip with Sam Altman. I think this guy just likes, throwing it out there. We'll see.
Mike, can you just put the story back for a minute for me, please?
Yes.
We got one more segment for you guys for a little wrap.
Do you know why he's doing it? He's doing it because look at that. The headline is Elon Musk keeps him in the news. It keeps people looking at him.
Does this guy need to be kept in the news?
He thrives on it. Absolutely thrives on it. And that's
just look at that look he's giving you, Michelle.
He's going to win this. Yeah. He's going to win this court case because he's right. But the question is, what does he get for that? You think it's just because of press?
Because there will be people who'll go, oh, I wonder what else Elon's up to right now. And they'll be looking him up. They'll be joining Twitter or X, whatever it's called, or they'll be following him on LinkedIn, or they'll be watching SpaceX launches, or they'll be going into a dealership to have a look at a Tesla. That is why he does these things. The adage of no publicity is bad publicity is definitely the way Elon works.
Right. All right. I'm taking us to the final segment, which is a fun one for us. We like to get a little bit of conspiracy every now and again. So we're going to take Conspiracy Corner. Oh, look at Mike with the hat. Sorry. I'm falling behind here. I got to tinfoil up a bit. So this is not actually, this was a late ad, but for those who aren't following, the price of Bitcoin has gone through the moon, and we are not a crypto show. We don't want to attract that whole audience. But the reality is, in the world of blockchain, crypto is a core element of how the thing works, especially when you're talking about the business aspects. There's an article out of Forbes, which I didn't even share with you two. I'm looking at it right now, from 2 days ago, called Huge Mystery Whale and Sudden 65,000 Bitcoin Price Surge. So the conspiracy here is there's thoughts in the talk on Twitter, especially, that there's a sovereign, a country, a national who's buying up Bitcoin in mass, like large scale purchases beyond the Wall Street size. As we all know, with the Bitcoin ETFs, Grayscale, and all those guys were jumping in to stock up what they could so they could sell futures against. Yeah, well, look at you, Johnny on the spot over here. So this is a there's talk right now is what government is accumulating Bitcoin. Now this is all conspiracy, right? It'll never be confirmed, but that would be a central bank player in a decentralized space accumulating. The only reason they would be doing that would be to manipulate or to convert currency later. So the speculation
or to control or regulate the price later,
which is exactly where I was going with this, right, Michelle? The United States government is the lead horse that people are suspecting is probably buying up a huge amount of Bitcoin. Could be true, could not be true. We don't know. We'll never know. But somebody's buying something in programmatic trading, large purchases, massively large purchases on a very predictable, regular basis. We can see the wallets. We can't see who's behind them. So interesting thought. What do you guys think on this? And we're not doing finance thing, but I wouldn't be shocked to see if there was governments that get nervous that they can't control the thing, just start buying the thing. Mike, we'll start with you. Because I like your hat.
Thank you. It is going to be a true testament over time on how the market responds to this type of behavior. If the government buys up this whole decentralized system in an effort to re-centralize it, don't you think that a new decentralized platform will emerge and be more valuable? Meaning, don't you think that the people who are involved on this version of it would almost liquidate their own assets in order to get away from the one entity that this was created for in the first place?
Yes, I do.
So these government entities, or in this case, we'll just use the same term, this huge mystery whale is going to be holding a ton of useless coins.
There was you guys remember the movie V for Vendetta?
Yep.
There's a line in there, I'm just thinking of it right now, where he says, behind this mask is more than just flesh. Behind this mask is an idea, and ideas are bulletproof. You can't unsee that Bitcoin has worked for all these years. So the governments don't like it, and they may be able to control it, but eventually that concept is out there now. Decentralized ledgers that can run money is not going to go away. Michelle, what are your thoughts on this? Are we overly conspiracying this, or is this something that we should be watching?
Oh, I mean, I think that if you are into the blockchain space, you would know about this and you would be watching it. Bitcoin surpassed its all-time high yesterday of $69,000 each, US dollars, that is. Then it crashed quickly for a bit, but it, based on this, it could go over 100,000, maybe even higher this year. And that's not financial advice. That is just, if you read charts or have ever done stock trading for a living, you can look at the Bitcoin chart and do all the calculations and work out, it's got a new baseline now. And so I think that it's important to, think about what it means. Is it a good thing if one particular wallet or not is holding those coins? I mean, as I said before, it would be to control the price later on, perhaps to maybe hold it up or to drop it if it needs to be dropped. All of that sort of stuff happens with stocks anyway, in regular money and in currencies and stuff like that. And yeah, the halving's coming. I think the other thing to think about is I tasked Mike with some, to spend maybe 25 minutes, probably wouldn't take him that long, between now and next week to work out who the wallet is, because I actually think that it's possible to find that out. Might even get my crypto blockchain husband onto that for next week.
Two thoughts on this. Number one, it could be the U.S. government, but there's another half of the world that hates the United States, and it could be those governments as well. No, seriously, like this is, if you wanted to take down the U.S. dollar, that would be how you could do it. But more importantly, and more like less conspiracy, I want to point out that cryptocurrency pricing is always relative to the currency you're talking about, right? This is the problem with most people don't understand foreign currency. Bitcoin is priced in dollars in this case we're discussing. So at $68,000, or actually the price of Bitcoin right now in US is 66,000, which is scratching at a 69,000 high, all-time high. It's there. This is where it's at the highest it's ever been back during the heyday. It's not necessarily going up. There's an aspect of the dollar's value going down, which makes the Bitcoin look like it's going up. So that dynamic, it's a very hard thing to pinpoint exactly how much, what percentage of the pricing is due to printing of money. But it's not small, right? So there's my point is that if you believe the printing will continue to happen, the price of Bitcoin, quote unquote, continues to go up. And I think that we're going to see that. I don't see this thing going down anytime soon.
If you calculate, I read this and I think it was an Axios article that talked about the height of Bitcoin yesterday. Why I was reading Axios, I have no idea, but it just happened to catch my eye the way that they put it. The actual value, if you count the inflation that's occurred over the last 3 years here in this country, is about 77,000. That's what the value of the Bitcoin is, but it shows that it could work independent of it. But, I've brought this up on several different occasions here. The value that this holds is not necessarily only relative to the US dollar. There are people that trade on Forex all day, every day, right? Like currency trading is a way to make money for people. It's a huge market. There's no difference in throwing this as an added variable into the equation, where if the dollar is down, you can basically subsidize that in a specific coin, in this case, Bitcoin, and then extract that coin in a different part of the world using that currency. And not only make money on the exchange between the dollars and the Forex deal, but also capitalize on the exchange between Bitcoin and that respective currency in that country. There's a whole market here that I don't know if even Wall Street has figured that part of it out yet. But there definitely is a money-making grab with that. And again, the more you hold, the more you can control. The other side of this that, kind of struck my chord when I read the fact that like somebody's buying all this up, and it might not necessarily be a government entity. It might be a large firm that now knows they have the ability to sell futures on this, at least here in the States.
Yes.
Right. So correct. They might be scooping a lot of that up to keep the control elements, not within the government, but on Wall Street.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Saylor and there's a lot of folks that are big proponents in the business world and have the means to buy a lot of this. Elon Musk being one of them. I think that we're going to see more of this. I just think it's interesting that the era of pooping on Bitcoin, you guys remember Jamie Dimon saying how it was used by criminals and it was worth nothing. Warren Buffett, worthless. All of a sudden now it's gone from making fun of it to let's start just buying it. And it doesn't matter who it is. It's the institutional money, clearly. So, all right. Final thoughts on the quick wrap up here. This is the Business on the Block, is your weekly insight to the digital media revolution. This week we reviewed the blockchain major. More and more universities worldwide are offering a blockchain degree, which is interesting. LinkedIn has become a hotspot for creators. LinkedIn is transitioning, turning the battleship, but they are becoming more and more a creator platform with influencer marketing now being an element. And finally, Elon Musk suing OpenAI. We're not sure where this will go, but he wants to move AI back into the realm of help humanity, don't make money. Final thoughts, Michelle.
Oh, I think that should be the final comment of the day. No final thoughts other than it's my birthday on the weekend, so I will be older next week when I see you.
Happy birthday. That's great.
You're not taking that crown off for sure. My final thoughts are relative to the university level. I mean, look, I don't care what brand they slap behind it. You're never going to learn more than you would on a show like this, right? So we bring the actual in the trenches perspective on it. We stay on top of the news and different things. So, a 4-year piece of paper from an institution that might get you some cred. But if you really want to understand where the technology is, you got to be tuning into shows like this on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
like the plug.
Absolutely.
In that realm, you can find more about Business on the Block. We are on Twitter X at Business on the Block. Is that our handle there?
Business_block.
And then also on YouTube, Business on the Block has a YouTube channel, believe it or not. And we are coming to you live every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. This week was an hour later. We all run businesses here, folks. And we encourage everyone to join questions. We love the feedback. We want a quick shout out to the Bolt crew. You guys have been tremendous supporters all along. We thank you for that. And with that, I would say thank you. And final comments and goodbyes from Michelle and Mike.
See you next week, everyone.
Peace.
Later.